Thank you so much for joining us on the program. Now, there's war of words within Nigeria's two largest political parties, the governing All Progressives Congress and the People's Democratic Party, which has taken a swipe at the APC and President Bola Tinubu-led federal government for attacking PDP state governors for speaking out against President Tinubu's failure, which is, quote, evident in the suffering Nigerians have been exposed to. Now, in a statement by the National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, Ologunagba, he noted that President Tinubu and his ruling APC government must take responsibility for plunging Nigerians into excruciating suffering as a result of their policy choices. According to the PDP spokesman, President Tinubu is seeking to allocate his statutory duties to state governors. The APC, he says, has unambiguously admitted that it foisted on Nigerians an incompetent president who cannot guarantee security and whose administration, he claims, has devastated Nigeria's economy, resulting in extreme hunger, hopelessness, and desperation, as evident in the protests, agitation, and rising spate of suicides, according to the PDP across the country. Well, for more on this, let's speak with the lawyer and National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, Honorable Ologunagba, who is also a former member of the House of Representatives. Thank you so much, Honorable, for joining us. Now, the federal government says you're distracting it with these talks here and there, that the PDP governors ought to be almost on the same page with President Tinubu in tackling the nation's economic woes. How much of a distraction is the PDP to the APC-led federal government?
Thank you, Sobna, for having me, and thank you. Good evening, Nigerians. I will start with this premise. I think this is a sobering time, and it's sad that we find ourselves at this juncture as a nation. And for the APC, what we have said severally over the years is coming to fruition in terms of the fact that the APC is not a political party, it's a special purpose vehicle, and it's a conglomeration of individuals who come together to pursue their individual personal gains. And therefore they have no mission, they have no vision, they have no policies, they have no program. And that's why we find ourselves where we are now. I think the greatest thing for any individual or president or leader is to be humble enough to admit. What we have found over the years, in the last almost 9 years now, that we have found APC displaying arrogance in failure. And that arrogance is now what we see. And they're beginning to distance themselves from the reality. Rather than listen to other people, they come with this idea that we know it all, and this insensitivity, yeah, we know it, we can get it done, and therefore whatever you say does not matter. But the reality is on the straight from your intro. And this is a scary time for Nigerians. And the painful thing is not just that people in government. It is everybody, you and I, ordinary man on the street, will be affected. We're already affected. Right today, on the street of Ibadan, the political capital of the Southwest, action taking place, that is a sign, and this is serious cause for concern. And I hope that APC, and President Tinubu in particular, will recognize these signals and make sure that rather than have this ostrich approach to say, no, yes, nothing is happening, to listen to those comments rather than say it's a distraction. What is the distraction there? When the people are hungry, when people cannot travel. This evening, on a personal note, a professional was to travel to Akure, Ondo State, by road tomorrow for an assignment. And they just sent me a text that because of the situation in the country along the roads, he will not be going. What does that mean? The earning capacity is zero. He will have to maintain his family, and yet somebody is the president, superintendent of this country. APC, wake up to reality. Nigeria is gradually grinding to a halt. Take that roll your sleeve if you can. But in any event, what has come to play is that the incompetence, and it's there in the statement. We have been provided with a fait accompli and have a president that is clearly incompetent and has no capacity elsewhere in that government.
The APC actually disagrees with you, including its government, and it says the PDP is trying to snatch power through the back door when it couldn't do that through the ballots in 2015, 2019, and 2023 again.
Okay, so here is it. We don't want to litigate those elections, but we are here in this country. In 2019, where APC governors admitted, through some leaders of the APC, admitting that they brought in terrorists to rig the election. It's on tape. It's in the public knowledge. Where they promised to pay some ransom to them, which was never paid. And those individuals went to the bush, and that is the beginning of the marauding violence that we find particularly in the Northwest. You remember before 2015, the challenges were towards the nip of the Northeast. It was those that were imported from foreign countries for the purposes of election. So we don't want to go into the issue of election. Now you are in government. Do the job. If you don't want the heat, don't go near the fire. We were all here during the electoral campaign where the president was touted as having fixed Lagos. He will fix Nigeria. Is that how to fix Nigeria? On day one, you remove petroleum subsidy without reason. Yes, PDP said we're going to remove it. We gave timeline how to proceed on that. We said we're going to fix at least one of the 4 refineries. This is 9 months down the road. And we have a bunch of people. Look, when PDP came in 1999, what did President Obasanjo do? He went to look for the best heads of Okonjo-Iweala and the best in the industry, in the economy, to help. But this government says they know everything.
Yeah,
you
said they are overwhelmed.
They are overwhelmed.
But where they actually have a problem is for you and your governors asking President Tinubu to resign.
Look, excuse me.
Did we ever have any PDP president actually resigning because of the similar
challenge
situations?
we have is that we're in the climb where we celebrate failure. And I just said arrogance in failure. He is overwhelmed. The APC is overwhelmed because their focus is not on the people, it's on self. Because this is a group of people who didn't go there to serve, but to serve themselves. The corruption cases are there for us to see. We had in the reporting that you gave so much prominence that we used 3 billion to identify 11 million households in Nigeria. Really? Is that governance? You need 3 billion or whatever it is, to 3 billion naira actually, to identify 11 million vulnerable households. Who does that? Why is it a federal government job? Why are you not bringing the governors and the local government to actually? Because federal government has no territory. It's the state government that has territory. So why don't you collaborate with them? What were you doing from the north, from the central, at the national level? Because embedded in that is the corruption. And that is what powers APC. It is not the interest of the people. But I say again, they should look no further. There's definitely noise right on the street. People are hungry.
And the government says dying. You are actually the one who is sponsoring those protests. I mean, you would have seen, I had Felix Moka here sometime 2 weeks ago, and he pointedly said, you in the opposition, you opposition political parties are sponsoring some of these protests.
The only thing I can do is to say I sympathize with the APC. Look into the mirror and see what you find there. The APC is a failure. Nigerians know it. They should go on the street, not me. Oh, so did I organize the protest in Ibadan today? The PDP organized the spontaneous protest about hunger. Hunger has no religion, has no tribe, has no ethnicity in Niger State. Now, we need to get to a point. Some reporting has that state governments are preventing movement of food from their state.
Yeah, Niger in particular.
Niger in particular. That is a signal that, yes, we're going to a failed state. The president should wake up. The APC should wake up. They should, for once, In the same way said, APC is a club of grab, run, and snatch. We don't want them to snatch away our patrimony. And that's why we're saying this. That's how our governors came out to say, no, we are all stakeholders in this business. I'll give you an example of the economy. The president is the minister of petroleum. He's the minister of petroleum resources. The president is in charge of the economy. The president is in charge of the security forces. And every day, they don't kidnap families or individuals, they kidnap a bus load of people. And then it becomes, the APC is numb to people's suffering. They're completely disconnected to us. And they should recognize that they are for us, and they need to work for us, and they need us to continue to remain as government. And so these are the issues. So when you say we sponsor crisis and all that, they should look at within themselves and fix it. It is their monkey. They carry it. They ask for this job. They should do it. When we were telling them this, don't get away this subsidy, because it has a cascading effect down the way. They know. Which president does that? Without finding what are the consequences or likely consequences of this. So which means there was no team, there was no thought process, there was no capacity. They were there only for self. And that's where we are.
All right, Honorable Debo Ologunagba, talk to us about the PDP Governors' demand for President Tinubu to resign. If he resigns, I mean, let's just create a scenario here. Who exactly do you want to take over? Kashim Shettima, or are you sending an article to go on a fire brigade?
No.
Look, or who exactly?
If you fail, like I said, we're in a different climate. And this is where the National Assembly should speak to Nigerian people. They are our representative. If someone is incompetent and has not worked and the country is collapsing, then the National Assembly has a responsibility. Leaders have a responsibility. That was what you saw the PDP governors have done. To call attention, look, we're failing, we're in trouble. If you're overwhelmed, ask for help. If you cannot, step aside. Because the country is greater than individual or group of individuals. So the issue is not about who takes over. It's the fact that indeed we're in trouble. And the APC should recognize that. It's not me saying that. It's on the street. They should find out on the street. Go there to the villages and find out. People can't travel on the road. People cannot eat. People are starving. There's hopelessness. People are committing suicide every day. We've lost count of the statistics. And there's a president where you can't just decide to travel by road and have the fun. At Christmas, people go to their families. Even right now, the government is having challenges paying salary. But the first thing is to admit it, not to come in and grandstand. Oh, it's caused by the opposition. That's escapist. Why are you abdicating responsibility? Take charge. Discuss it. Why has the president not called to talk to the nation? I said, look, this is what I'm doing. Why is it difficult for them to... Look, in the days of the PDP, we have ministers who were removed from office for allegation of corruption. All right? There's a tokenism here. That's when the people will begin to buy into governance. Because what gives legitimacy to any government? Yeah, we can, as a people, when you have a government that you honestly, genuinely believe won't come from you, and secondly, is working in line with your vision and having you in mind, you are more likely to say, yes, what do we do? But where is the example of this government? With all the profligacy with COP28, with the amount of money that was spent in hunger, and Nigerians are reading it and they're feeling it, with the massive corruption going on a daily basis, and nothing is happening. Right. And then you find investigations that are almost a cold case situation when we have institutions of state that can do such. That's not governance. Right. That is cronyism. That is protection of a club.
All right. So the PDP is also in power by the side, on the fringes. Yeah, correct. You are not at the center, but you have governors who are also state governors in other places. Yes. And the government, through the Minister of Information, is saying that, look, what are your own governors doing? What are your own federal lawmakers doing to contribute to good governance. And then, of course, as a political party, I want to ask, what are the policy alternatives that PDP is offering? So that Nigerians will know that at least if the government is not an alternative, maybe the PDP seems like a government in waiting.
Well, the challenge is this, and I'll try to talk about the states, because the states are actually the critical part of the country. And then let's do like for like and compare. The PDP states and the governors, we've described them appropriately so as oases of development. When you're in the desert and you find pockets of area where you find water, you find grains there, go to any of the PDP states and all the public officials at national level of the PDP, that's when you hear about commissioning of projects. Only last week, Oyo State Governor, with his brother, Governor of Enugu, accompanying him, commissioned a 12.9 kilometer dual carriageway on the axis of Ibadan. And what does that do? When you have road development, what happens? Development follows it. In any event, it's a cascading thing because it has, in effect, there'll be construction workers, there'll be people selling food, there'll be people selling granite. What do? You reflate the economy. That's in Oyo State. In Akwa Ibom State, there's the great Arise agenda. The governor is doing exceedingly well, putting money into the pockets of people to create wealth by themselves, not sharing to political cronies like they happen in the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. Right. 47 billion and we're counting. We don't even know where the cesspit is there, right there. You go to Osun State, it's a beehive of construction. It's a massive construction site. That's what governments do. Because when you do that, there will be cascading effect. Those people will earn income, they will pay taxes, it will reflect the economy, and the country will be better for it. So name one state on the APC control that has ever, in the last 1 year, commissioned a project. I've just mentioned several. Now you go down to Delta, you go to Edo. Edo is actually a cynosure of development. Only 2 days ago, they came out and saw their initiative in crime control, a massive control room that takes care of the whole of the state, which means at a button they can know that this is happening real time online. So where is the federal government doing? All right. So they have abdicated duty and they want PDP governors to take over. And we're saying...
How about the party? I mean, sorry to just interject.
Party is this.
Your own party.
It's important.
What exactly are the policy alternatives that
the
PDP is saying? For example, on the $3 billion that was borrowed, yes, we would have known what PDP will do with that $3 billion at the moment. And then, for example, on the issues of refinery, what would you have been doing at least? The issues of food security, what would you have been doing?
Thank you very much. And this is how related. Look, during the campaigns, we gave clears on this issue of subsidy. And we have said, we will have a timeline to do this. And that's what responsible government do everywhere in the world. Because the purpose of government is the people. Yeah. That's why it says the primary purpose of government is the welfare and security of the people. On both counts, APC has failed woefully. One, security and related to food. You remember, and this is the sad thing about this commentary about APC and the unfortunate entry of this group, which is not a party, an SPV, in our political life. You remember the pyramid of rice, which turned out to be pyramid of lies under President Buhari. Because they said to us there was abundance of production because of the fraudulent agro and scheme, where the CBN in the whole world became a retail bank because it was funded by corruption, where people take money to do what we call agro borrowing, and they do nothing.
Even the Anchor Borrowers program.
They didn't do nothing, you know that. So they came and deceit. This is a government of deceit by deceitful people. Because what they did was to create a wooden bar and put in rice and then call it pyramid of rice. So where is it? If indeed there were those pyramid of rice and storage arising from their intervention in agriculture, then there would have been sufficient storage in the silos, and probably now it won't be this way. And you know what is related to that? Because they have imported criminals, terrorists, who have now taken away our people from going to their farms. You remember, the same APC government under President Buhari said 43 farmers that were killed in Maiduguri, they said they didn't take permission to go to their farms.
All
so
right.
that's it. On the issue of the petroleum, we have said, fix one of the refineries. And let me quickly talk about this. There are 4 refineries, combined capacity about 400,000 barrels per day. None is working. What do? Look at the 4, analyze it, and say, which is the least, or which one can we fix within the next 9 months? You fix it. We take 400 barrels, according to us, abroad to refine. When you take them out, there is C&F, there's the freight, there's handling charges, there's storage, there's the refining cost. Then when you bring it back, you pay the same cost, and then you put it in the tank farm. And then these costs are sent to us. All in those stages embedded in that as corruption. So what would we have done differently, and what we said, to make sure we fix at least one, even if it is 100,000 barrels capacity per day. It means we will not be refining 100,000 abroad. What it means that those 100,000 will be working here, and the byproduct, which is almost 100 from refining, will go to other companies like the tar sand, like the black oil, like the plastic industries, and so many other things. They will be at work. There will be employment there. They will be paying taxes. They didn't do that. They never listened to that. They thought they know it. And what they have done, they didn't come to govern us. They came to grab, to snatch, and run.
Well, governance is actually tough business. Just before I let you go, Honorable Debo Ologunagba, the federal government says it plans to distribute 42,000 metric tons of assorted grains, rice, maize, millet, and all of that, out of the 53,000 that's left in the National Food Reserve silos that we have, 33 of them across the country. Talk to us about how the federal government can do this easily. Because, some of us as journalists, we asked them during a recent press briefing last week, how are you going to distribute this? They say, well, they will be giving it out freely to vulnerable Nigerians to prevent what we had during the time of COVID, when people were storing foods in warehouses and politicians were accused of this act when Nigerians were hungry. How do we ensure that if indeed they go ahead with this move, that it gets to those who really need it to curb all these protests on the streets?
Okay. The challenge is again is that, is the APC sincere? Is it competent? Is it capable with this program? And in any event, if you want to do that, there are structures, there are other tiers of government. The people who knows who are vulnerable, they don't live in Abuja. They live in the villages. So what you need to do is to work with the governors and work with the subnational bodies in the state, in the country, and that way. And it will be transparent. If you turn it to be a political job for the other people to, give it to this because they're APC and they're not carrying APC, we have had situations where to give even palliative, they will be requesting for your card. That's not governance. Now election is over. Face governance. For every Nigerian, party doesn't mean they want to survive. That's why you see the protest on the street. This government, this party, do not care. They are insensitive. That's why people will die in Plateau at Christmas, and the president sent proxies. In other climes, the president will go there. That is empathy. They must show empathy. They must show that indeed they can hear us. They must show that indeed they can feel us. They don't feel us. Nigerians know it. And that's why they are shouting, feel us.
All right.
Feel us. And they need to feel us now.
All right. Well, isn't it time for a bipartisan approach in 90 seconds?
Absolutely. We have always
both at the National Assembly, and various
believe
states,
that
PDP, APC, Labour, time to come together.
It must
national
be,
interest.
if we want to have a nation, it becomes imperative that we do that. Right. But who starts it? The president. He has the lead. He should lead the way, others will follow him. Not when it is...
The PDP is ready to follow him?
Nigerians are ready to follow any president or any government, irrespective of party, that is for them.
Okay.
This government has not shown capacity to be for Nigerian people. It has been for the boys and the ball boys around the president.
All right, Honorable Debo Ologunagba is the National Publicity Secretary of Nigeria's major opposition party, the People's Democratic Party. Well, this same APC says that they've been defeating you since 2015, and they say this is the time for governance and not time for distraction. It's time to roll up sleeves. So we just hope that all of you will come together.
That's what we're telling them. We're telling them
to actually ensure that President Tinubu.
That's why the governors are speaking out and saying, "Look, come. This is not right. Do it right." But rather than accept and say, yes, maybe, just maybe there might be something there, you go on the tirade of insult and people sponsoring protests. Do you sponsor somebody who's hungry on the street? Come on.
Right. We must thank you so much for joining us right here on Arise Prime Time to help us understand some of the issues. And I can tell you actually from some of the visuals Arise News has been seeing and covering across the country, actually people are really hungry, and we just hope that Mr. President, having come back from Addis Ababa, will actually sit with his economic managers to ensure that Nigerians actually have the best of support to actually provide food for them, and then other governance issues can continue.